Welcome to the Balanced Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Sherman, fitness coach for burnt out perfectionists. If you're ready to break free from overwhelm, simplify your nutrition, and make fitness finally work for you instead of against you, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into easy strategies to balance your health with your busy life. Let's hustle for balance, not burnout. Grab a seat and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the pod. This week, you may possibly hear some baby noises in the background. We are recording this with an awake baby because it was record this with the baby being awake or potentially not be able to record a podcast at all today. So we are recording. You may hear some baby noises, but that's totally fine because we take messy action around here. Not everything needs to be perfect. Speaking of not everything needing to be perfect, today's topic is we are talking about 4 ways to improve your nutrition without counting a single calorie. Now, as a fitness and nutrition coach, I love the concept of counting calories, counting macros. It can be so incredibly helpful and so productive at the right times. But I also understand it is not always the right time to be counting your calories and macros. And I actually encourage as a coach that we don't do that all the time. Like, we don't need to do that year round. We can use that as a time to check in on ourselves, to see how we've been doing, to see if maybe we've been under eating or overeating, or we need to add some more protein in if we feel like we've been a little low on protein. There's definitely times where we can use it as a check-in. There's times where we can use it when we are maybe going through a serious fat loss phase or a weight loss phase, and we know that we want to spend 8 to 12 weeks in a fat loss phase and then get out of it and not be in it forever, right? So we get really serious. We get really, dedicated to counting our calories and macros, but that's not something that you should be doing year round, and it's not something anyone wants to be doing year round, especially, myself having just had a baby. It is like the last thing that I want to be doing right now. So when I'm kind of restarting my fitness journey here, now, did I eat mindfully and have decent nutrition throughout my pregnancy? Sure. Sometimes when you get to the end of pregnancy, it's just about making it to the finish line. And you have cravings, you have aversions, you have things that you don't want to be eating, that you do want to be eating, things like that. It's a little bit harder to be dialed in, let's say. And it's not really the time to be dialed in, it's the time to be having a baby, right? So now that I am getting back into my fitness routine and, getting a little bit more dialed in, just got cleared to work out, I want to start watching my nutrition a little bit more closely, right? And start taking the steps to build back up to, a place closer to where I used to be pre-pregnancy. But I know that I'm not in a place where I want to be tracking full calories and macros. I don't have the mental capacity for it. I would say that I don't have the time for it. It really, once you get practice at it, it never takes as much time as you think that it does, but it is a little bit of a time commitment as well. And it's not something that I want to be doing right now. It's not something I feel like I need to be doing right now. And for a lot of you, that may also be the case, whether you've just had a baby or not. There's, lots of circumstances where it might not be the right time for you to be counting calories and macros. So what can we do if we're like, I know my nutrition needs improvement. I know I could be doing things better, but what's the middle ground between what I'm doing now and full on counting calories and weighing my food every day? What can I actually do that's tangible and not just like, I'm mindfully eating, and what the heck does that even mean, right? So today we're going to share with you 4 different ways, tangible ways, that you can make sure that your nutrition is in a better place than it may be at now and is helping you get to your goals. And you may not need to go further than these 4 things. You might dial in these 4 things and you're happy, you're maintaining, maybe you're losing weight, maybe you're losing fat, building muscle. You might not even need to transition to tracking macros. Like I said, it's not something that we want to be doing all the time. And for some people, we don't really want to do it hardly ever. So we don't have to do that. So starting with the first thing, and this is the thing that I see most women in agriculture doing wrong. And it's so simple. Like, I laugh because it's so simple, but it's something that I used to do wrong when I was in agriculture every single day of the week. And that is not eating 3 proper meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then not having some good snacks in there throughout the day. I used to skip breakfast. I would not eat anything until 2, 3, 4 p.m. sometimes, swing through the McDonald's drive-thru on the way home, binge McDonald's, and then get home and feel absolutely terrible about myself, right? So the first thing that you can do, the first simple check-in that you can do today that doesn't require that much thinking, right, is making sure that you are eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then I highly encourage a morning snack and an afternoon snack. So somewhere in between your breakfast and lunch, so say you eat breakfast, 7, 8 a.m., you eat lunch at noon, you're looking at like maybe a 10 a.m. snack, right? To get you to lunch, to keep your brain working. We start to hit like a slump mid-morning, right? So we should have a snack in there. And then same thing in the afternoon, right? Like most of us, okay, let's say we eat lunch at like noon. Some of you might eat lunch later, and some of you might eat dinner later. But let's say you eat lunch at noon, you eat dinner at, 5 or 6 o'clock. That's a big gap. That's 5 or 6 hours that you're not eating anything. So a 2, 3 p.m., a 4 p.m. snack, if you're someone that isn't eating dinner till 7 or 8 o'clock, we need to throw an afternoon snack in there too. So very first thing you can do, and you can even make yourself, like if you're someone that likes checking off things in an app, like you have a habit app or you have a planner, or you could even put this on your fridge or wherever you are during the day, you could just add to your whatever it is, 3 meals, 2 snacks, and check them off. And that's your first place you can start with a nutrition plan on bettering your nutrition without tracking a single calorie. Moving in to number 2. This kind of goes along with snacks, with meals a little bit. This is noticing your hunger cues, and you need to stop ignoring them. So again, for so many of my women in ag especially, but any busy woman in general, we tend to just skip eating. Like, we'll just be, we'll get to the end of the day and we'll be like, oh my God, I didn't even eat lunch today. Like, I got so distracted doing other things, didn't even eat lunch, right? And your body sends you hunger cues. But what happens over time is your body starts to stop doing it because it's like, well, she's not going to feed me, so I'm just going to adapt and I'm going to stop sending the hunger cues. So I need you to pay attention when you do have those hunger cues, and I need you to listen to them. I need you to honor them. I need you to get a snack, and that's how you're going to work with your body. So your body will keep telling you when you are hungry, and being hungry, even if you're in a weight loss phase, is not bad. Being hungry is normal. It's natural. It's how we fuel our bodies throughout the day. You're allowed to be hungry, and I feel like for so long, the media sent us in such the opposite direction, trying to get us to ignore our body's hunger cues, like do this and you won't be hungry, you won't be starving by dinner, and take this drug and blah, 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 blah. Like, all these different ways to ignore our hunger cues. But we need to start working with them, because when we start working with our body's hunger cues, we start to work with our metabolism, and we start to rebuild our metabolism. And that's how we lose fat. That's how we lose weight. That's how we build muscle, right? We need to work with our bodies and not against them. For so long, we've been working against our bodies, and it's like our bodies are smart. We need to listen to them. When we start doing the weird stuff to work against our bodies, that's when things start to not work out for us. And when I say that we need to be listening to our body's hunger cues, I want to talk about, what that even means. Because a lot of us just think, oh, well, when I'm hungry, when I'm starving, I'll eat. Like, that's listening to my body's hunger cues. But that's not always how our body tells us that we need food, that we need fuel. So, yes, if we feel hungry, right, That's one. That's an obvious one. Another one, if you start to feel dizzy, if you start to feel shaky. For me, I would start to get headaches that would turn into major migraines if I did not eat in time. And by the time I was getting a headache, I was already doing something wrong, right? Like I had already been skipping food long enough that I had gotten that headache that was leading to that migraine. So at that point, it was like I just had to cope with what was already going wrong, right? So start to notice those things and the patterns around them, right? When I started to notice that, I was like, oh, when I eat properly, I don't end up with a headache. When I sleep and hydrate and eat properly, I don't have these migraines, right? So start to put those types of cues together, and that will be honoring your body and your hunger cues as well. And sometimes when we start to lose our hunger cues, like I talked about, when our body starts to stop telling us that we're hungry, like we don't get that stomach growling hunger, we get other things like headaches, like dizziness. Another one would be not being able to focus. So for me especially, that turned into the 10 a.m. snack, right? So, and that 2 or 3 p.m. snack. I would just not be able to focus. Like I would be in a brain fog at 10 a.m., mid-morning and mid-afternoon. And then I noticed when I started eating those snacks, I could think so much more clearly. So that's another cue that we need to be listening to and honoring. Other cues will happen while we are eating. So knowing when to stop when we're full, right? But then also what I think most of us are probably doing as women in ag and busy women is that we are not listening to the cue of not being full enough. Like we'll rush through food. We'll say like, oh, this will do for now. I'll come get something else later. Like I ate half a granola bar. Gotta go. Gotta do something else. Right? Listening to our body when even our body wants more food during a meal can be another cue. Okay, number 3, building a balanced plate. So if we're wondering, are my macros aligned? Am I eating too much fat, too many carbs, too much protein, not enough fiber, right? One of the easiest ways that we can watch this without tracking a single calorie is building a balanced plate. So when we sit down and we look at our plate, is 75% of our plate carbs? Okay, then we know that we need to balance that a little bit, right? Are there any veggies on our plate? Is there any fruit on our plate? Okay, then we're going to need some more fiber. We're going to need to start working those things in, right? Are we eating meals that just have 0 protein? Okay, we don't need to track. Like, we don't need to get out the food scale and track our macros to find out that we need more protein if 2 out of 3 meals have 0 protein on the plate, right? So building a balanced plate is going to be the third way that we are going to make sure that you are fueling your body properly without making it more work, without starting to log things and making that another job, right? And then the fourth thing, I'm giving these to you quick today, like rapid fire. I am not wasting your time. So the fourth thing that we can start looking at to improve our nutrition that actually counting calories and macros isn't going to help you with anyway, and this is improving your digestion. It does not really matter what you're eating, how balanced your plate is, how much protein you're getting in, if you are not digesting the food that you are eating. Just because you are eating the food doesn't mean that you are digesting it well or properly. And the number one thing I find, especially with my women in ag that are super busy, super stressed a lot of the time, right? Like we've got 15 million things going on. You could go out to the barn to bed the calves, and then you've got 3 other things that pop up, and 3 hours later you still haven't bedded the calves, right? So there's a million things going on, and we tend to be just super stressed. And we've coped with that stress, right? Like you might not recognize that you're stressed all the time because your baseline might just be high, right? Your tolerance to the stress might be high, but stress is one of the major things that impacts how we digest food. So things like sitting down to eat when you can, stopping to eat when you can, taking a break, a bit of a breather in between being at work and going to get a meal. So like for one of my clients, we chatted about, because she works at home, she works near her kitchen. So when she's done with work, she just goes right to the kitchen and gets a snack, gets dinner, and she's still in that stressed out state from work. So for her, a thing that we started to implement is spending a few minutes with legs up the wall, if you've ever heard of that. That's a great way to de-stress and just take a breather. Even just sitting down for a minute and breathing, right? It's just, there's so many different ways that you can practice breathing as a de-stressing technique. Box breathing, if you've ever heard of that. Breathing in for 4, holding for 4, out for 4, holding for 4 again. That's just something so simple you could do anywhere. It doesn't take that long. It takes a minute or two, right? And you have kind of de-stressed a little before you start to eat. Helps your body with digestion. Things like walking around after you eat to help yourself digest food better, right? That will go a long, long way in improving your nutrition, and no amount of tracking your calories or macros is going to help you digest your food better. So that's something that I would recommend doing and paying attention to no matter what. Like, pay attention to how your body feels after you've eaten food. Do you feel bloated? Are you constipated? Are you having issues with that? There's all kinds of cues that we can look at, and I'd be happy to do an episode on digestion, on gut health as well too, because that's something that we could dive into and talk all day about. But that is something that no matter what, you can start taking steps to pay attention to and start to correct to improve your nutrition. Because again, you could have a personal chef making you all the healthiest meals in the world, making them fit your calories, your macros, and if you are not digesting that food properly, it's going to harm your progress, right? So 4 things that you can start to implement today without tracking a single calorie, without downloading MyFitnessPal again, right, for the 5th time, and you can just start to attack your nutrition and improve it and make it better without doing the most, right? Without being perfect. We talk a lot about not being a perfectionist, and these are all ways that you can start to implement this into your life without having to be like all or nothing, 100% or nothing. If I forgot to track my breakfast, I failed for the week, and I delete MyFitnessPal and I'm done tracking, and I still don't like how my body looks and feels, right? So start these today. Start with 1, start with 2, start with what feels good for you. Start with where you think you most might need to improve. Sorry, my baby burped. I'm burping the baby and that distracted me. Yeah, my podcasting buddy today. But start to implement some of these in your life before you go to the extreme of full-on calorie and macro tracking, especially if it doesn't feel like the right fit for you right now, with your mental capacity or with your physical capacity, right? It doesn't have to be the only way. So I hope this was helpful. If you like this episode, leave me a comment. And if you want to get in touch and get some more content around fitness and nutrition, find me over on Instagram at LindsaySherman_fitness. And with that, I will talk to you in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Balanced Hustle podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Be sure to leave a review or share with someone who needs a little extra balance in their hustle. For more tips, tools, and resources to help you reclaim your energy and build the strong, vibrant life you deserve, follow me on Instagram at LindsaySherman_fitness, and don't forget to subscribe here so you don't miss a single episode. Until next time, remember, progress is always better than perfection. Keep taking those small steps. They'll tell you exactly where you need to go. Talk soon.